Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, I want to be talking to you about the psychology on failing, and I want to talk to you about certain principles that I follow, because in today's day and age, most people are afraid to do the things that they want to do. And there's a reason for that. Because if you look at Homo sapiens, even going way beyond just hunters and gatherers in the last 10, 20,000 years, if we're going back to, let's say, Homo habilis, Australopithecus, all the way back from the evolution from the African horn, we've had millions and millions of years of evolutionary pressure for a model of scarcity and abundance. And it served us, it served a really good purpose for having this type of cognitive default within our body, because when we had food, we gorged, and when we didn't have food, we didn't have food. And so when the opportunity came around for abundance, we just gorged. And so we had to stay in pact like tribes, you know, if you're very familiar with Dunbar's number. And so if we deviated anywhere away from our tribe, deviated from, let's say, ideology, deviated from the pattern of how we hunt, deviated from any program norm of that tribe, for the most part, we died. That was reality back then. However, the reason why we behave that way is because of our environment. But today, our environment has changed. Today, we have abundance. Today, we have endless opportunity. I mean, endless, boundless opportunity that we can do anything and everything that we want to do. However, due to our programming, most people are afraid to do it. And most people view failure as an end game, meaning if you fail, that's it. It's the end of the line. And so in this presentation, I want to go through some very basic principles that I stand by, and I think these principles are generally applied to anybody and everybody anywhere. And so when people look at failure, they look at it as an end game. Like I said, they look at it as a negative connotation. They look at it as, if I fail, I will be shunned from my family. If I failed, I will have my ego destroyed. If I fail, people will make fun of me. If I fail, and this is the biggest one, it's not even shunning. If I fail, what will people think of me? That's a massive one. And so how I like to look at failure is not even, I don't like the word fail, and that's why I like to have this kind of annotation over here. I like to view it as a teacher, right? So failure, I'm pretty sure you've seen this. Failure to me is first attempt in learning. It's a feedback mechanism. It's like you putting your finger on a hot stove. What happens? It burns you, and you're like, well, fuck, I'm not doing this ever again. And so there's a really good quote. I love this quote. You know, it states, a smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise one learns from the mistakes of others. I believe Charlie Munger said this. I'm quite sure he probably took that from some Stoic philosophy, but that's where I heard it from, Charlie Munger, which is Warren Buffett's partner. And so when you're viewing anything that you're doing, and this applies to business, this applies to personal relationships, friendship relationships, if you want to be an athlete, it really doesn't matter. This is applicable to everything. Is don't view failure in a negative connotation. View the process, the journey that you're doing, because there is no end. Everything that you're doing is part of the process. It's a learning curve. It's a constant feedback mechanism of you interacting with the environment, you collecting data points. Pretty much you're an AI. We are literally quantum creatures that we have unlimited, boundless capabilities of knowledge gathering and input. And what we fail to do is actually pause to understand understand what information we're gathering, right? So if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And this is from Peter Drucker, who's like one of the best business management. I guess you can call him a coach, but he's more than that. Highly recommend you read anything and everything from Peter Drucker. And so there's something I like to use in business called key performance indicators. Now, a lot of people use this in business, but a lot of people don't use this personally speaking. So when's the last time that you sat down with yourself and actually set out quarterly goals for you? Like, you are a business. So for example, Ameer Rosic Inc., or let's say Peter Drucker Inc. And so we spend all this time looking at business, and we have OKRs and KPIs and quarterly projections and how we're going to hit them, etc. But we never do this as an individual. And so what I like to do is like, okay, I have things I'm doing in my life, you know, Currently, right now, I'm trying to play the piano, and fuck, man, I'm failing, right? It's like, shit, I got to get my schedule in order, etc., and it's very chaotic. And so, if you don't create key performance indicators or goals, let's just call them goals. If you don't create goals, and I like to break them down, same thing like in business, in quarterly 90-day goals. If you don't create goals for where you want to go, you can't improve on it because you can't measure it. There's no feedback mechanism for you. So whether you're trying to start a business, whether you're trying to learn a piano like myself, whether you're trying to learn a new language, whatever you are doing, you got to start with measuring where you want to go. And that measurement starts in 90-day increments. So the first thing, what I like to do is do my own personal KPIs for a quarterly basis. Q3 is coming up, so I think that's like end of June, give or take. And so I will sit down, I'm going to spend 2-3 hours with myself, and I'm going to be writing down what I want to achieve in the next 90 days. And it's not just writing down what you want to achieve, it's writing down how you're going to achieve it. So it's like, okay, I want to play piano, or I want to learn piano, I want to get to maybe a grade 2. How am I going to get to grade 2? I'm going to, practice half an hour a day using this app. Then once a week, I'm going to have a tutor, etc. So you actually write down the process and you actually give yourself milestones that you want to hit. So for business, it can be something simple. It's like this quarter, I want to have $10,000 in sales. How are we going to get $10,000 in sales? Where we're going to do these marketing channels, and this is going to be the marketing budget, etc., etc. So you have to measure and you have to write down where you want to go, because without knowing where you're going, you're never going to get there. You're going to be like a chicken with your head cut off, running around and always complaining and always asking yourself, well, fuck, it's not working again. It's not working. It's not working. It's not working, until you drive yourself bananas. And so this is a really cool process. It's a mental framework. It was created from the Korean War by a really famous fighter jet pilot, and it's called the OODA loop system. So let's say you started a business and you failed. And you could have failed for a multitude of reasons. You could have failed for lack of experience. You could have failed for a bad product market fit. You could have failed at cash right now. You could have failed at bad hiring. There's a million reasons why you could have failed. And as opposed to accepting that as the absolute answer, like you'll never start a business again, what you need to do is, once you have your KPIs and once you know exactly where you're going, you need to use the OODA loop feedback system. And so let's say, for the sake of this conversation, we're going to say we are starting a business today. And we're going to start an e-commerce business selling, I don't know, headsets, whatever we want to sell, headsets. And we state that this quarter we want to get $20,000 in sales. That means we're selling, 2,000 headsets. And we want to have a profit of 30%. And we write down our KPIs of exactly how we're going to get there. And let's say after 90 days, we don't get there. We got maybe 50% of the way, and we're not at the profit level we want. As opposed to just saying, oh, we're going to give up, this business is going to failure, or just blindly making new KPIs like, yeah, this is, it is what it is. Next quarter, we're going to do triple. Instead, what you need to do is pause. Remember the quote at the beginning? A smart man learns from his mistakes. A wise man learns from others. You need to pause, and you need to use an OODA loop system. You need to audit everything. You need to then go and observe what has happened. What went wrong? So you didn't hit your goal of the merchandise you need to sell. Why? That's the big question. Why? And really investigate. Was it lack of budget? Was it lack of focus? Was it lack of systems? Was it bad marketing? Was it bad hire? Why? Write these questions down. Why? Once you figured out the whys, plural, then what you need to do is figure out hypothesis to fix those whys. So you observed what's going on, and then with your hypothesis, then you're going to figure out, okay, these are my potential fixes, right? So this is the feedback system. I'm observing what went wrong. Now I'm adjusting for that. Then you need to orient. That's the second step. You need to orient the direction that you're going to take for the next 90 days. And with the orientation is you build off the why. So maybe you didn't have enough money for marketing. Maybe your product wasn't proper product market fit. Maybe the pricing wasn't good. Maybe you didn't do enough marketing. I don't know. But once you figure that out, then you want to kind of narrow in, I would say, top 3 things that you truly believe could have been the cause within the why. And then you want to decide which one of those you're going to accept as your new hypothesis to act upon. So this is the feedback mechanism, right? You're looking at everything, you're observing everything, you're collecting the raw data from your experiment. And remember, going back to the original thing, first attempt in learning. This is a learning process. This isn't failing. This isn't you giving up. Remember, there is no end. It's all one big fucking journey. This is a game. This is fun. You got to enjoy the process. You know, that's how you win in life. It's the process. It's like, yeah, you know, what do you do when you fall down? You get back up. What do you do when you fail in business? You get back up. It's about what did you just learn from your experience, and how can you continue without replicating that mistake or replicating that process again. So you collect your raw data, you do a deeper dive into the meaning of this data, you know, why you didn't succeed at that given point. You decide what your next step of action is, then you act upon it. And this system constantly loops over and over again. In fact, it goes back into the very nature of life, which is fractals. This is a fractal orientation. Or if you believe in if you follow mythology, this is the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. It's a never-ending cycle, never-ending loop. But the difference is, instead of you just blindly going out there and assuming things, which is the worst. Assumption is the biggest fuck up anyone can make. Do not assume anything. You know what? You know, the wisest people who win at this are people who are very like blank, humble. It's like, listen, or there's a really good saying that Joseph Campbell talks about: he who thinks he knows doesn't know. He who knows he doesn't know knows, right? So be very humble, be a blank slate, and repeat this process. So every quarter you go through your own personal KPIs, company KPIs, you collect your raw data, you observe what's going on, you do a deeper thinking with yourself and your team, you create your new hypothesis, you decide what to do with them, then you act upon it. And I'll leave you at that. If you guys enjoyed this type of video, leave a comment. I'd like to know your processes and your principles, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.